Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the annual IMSA Convocation. It is my honor to welcome everyone here. And so I will start with the brand new class, 229 strong. Can I have the class of 2019 stand and the rest of us give us a nice IMSA warm welcome. Thank you. You may be seated. And returning for their second year, we have, and you can stand please, our wonderful class of 2018. Please stand. And third, I'd like to welcome our faculty and staff at the Academy. Don't worry, please don't worry. Our faculty and staff, can you please rise and we can give you a nice warm welcome. Next, I would like to recognize our dignitaries and our special guests and our wonderful alum faculty and staff. So the front two rows, can you please rise so we can recognize you? And now, yes, the absolutely wonderful and amazing, let's welcome for the very first time, their senior year, the class of 2017. Please rise. And to represent our student body and the wonderful class of 2017, I'd like to introduce to you your Student Council President, Madison Dong.
Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good morning. Morning. This speech is about 5 minutes long, and in that limited time, I'd like to start off by presenting a commonly asked question. As students, why do we come to IMSA? What makes us want to move far away from home to come here? Now, personally, I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter why or how you got here, because the fact is, you've already arrived. You already packed up your life, your clothes and posters and blankies and whatnot into some boxes. You transported it to a little room in a residential hall that you now call yours. Some of you have come from as far as 6 hours away to be here at IMSA, but the time you get to spend here is finite. 3 years. So the real question is, what will you do with that time? Because IMSA is not a place to live half-heartedly. It has so many opportunities and resources that it feels unreal at times. Only here, you can 3D print a motor for your skateboard, research treatment for Parkinson's disease, write curriculum for and teach a class on leadership theory, learn French without speaking a word of English, and just about anything else you can think of. And I don't expect you to sign up for a dozen different things. But I ask that you do this, whether you're just now starting your IMSA career or closing it out. Fall in love. And when I say that, I mean fall in love with everything IMSA has to offer. A huge variety of resources and a passionate, driven community like no other. But there are lots of little things at IMSA to enjoy as well. A lot of times, these things involve your friends. Like when you're frantically doing a problem set late at night, or when you're talking to someone about their SIR, and you have no idea what they're talking about because there are so many big words. But it's still really awesome because you can tell how excited and proud they are that they've done research. So as school starts and we fall into our own routines, don't forget about those little things either. Help each other out and listen to each other for once. People can sometimes talk too much, but IMSA shows you how to listen and learn from the people around you, both teachers and students. Because here, you're surrounded by others who are intelligent and passionate about math, physics, politics, or even a dead gorilla. And while IMSA teaches you to be a great student, it also shows you how to be a better person, how to care about other people as much as you care about yourself. So with everything at IMSA, you can take yourself in any direction. But whatever path you choose it with confidence and do not look back. It's so easy to doubt ourselves because of what other people might think or how colleges will perceive us. But your 3 years here should not be wasted on hesitation or regret. So when you do anything, do it with all you've got. Break down walls, but only figuratively. You are given 3 years. Juniors, you've got 2 left. Seniors, you've only got 1. But for all of us, that time is limited, and it's ticking. So use every moment wisely to make IMSA exactly what it should be: an eye-opener, an inspiration, a home. Make it yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Doesn't it feel great here? When I started 2 years ago, our first convocation was in here, but it was very, very hot. Do you remember that, seniors? We had people who were actually falling out from the heat. Distinguished guest, Board of Trustee member Leslie Juby, IMSA Fund Board of Director President Ross Hemphill, elected officials, Representative Kifowit, Mayor Tom Weisner is here, Mayor of Aurora, distinguished emeriti and ambassadors, founding president Stephanie Pace Marshall, who in June of this year became the first female chancellor of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois. Please give her a hand. Distinguished faculty and staff, and class of 2019, class of 2018, and our seniors, class of 2017. Welcome to the 2016 convocation of the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. Class of 2019, you have the honor and privilege of being the 30th class. And today we're celebrating the 30th convocation of the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. Because of that, I am going to take a little bit of privilege to share some history and build on that so that we can understand where we are in point of history today in 2016. Today is a historic date in our life at the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. There are current and former staff members here who were there 30 years ago when this whole endeavor started. I know we have, can those people who were here at 30 years ago, please stand. We have Kathy Veal, Stephanie Pace Marshall, Jim Bondi, and Marty Warren. 30 years ago, this is before you were born, obviously, they were here toiling at this. Today, we stand, in fact, on their shoulders and commit ourselves to make this world, our state, our IMSA, a better place by advancing the human condition. We have the possibility of significantly influencing life on our planet because of these charter founders and founding board members. Sheila Griffin, our chairman, also was there, and she sends regrets. She really had wanted to be here. On August 25, 1986, at Community Learning Day, before the 211 charter class of 1989 arrived, Dr. Marshall said, "We are at the dawn." Latin for the Latin meaning of aurora. We are at the dawn of an enterprise that will evolve into something quite extraordinary. And wasn't she right, even prophetic about this? On that same day that students moved in, there was convocation happened the same day that students moved in, and that was on September 7, 1986. Can you imagine parents left their young son and daughter in the care of people who they barely knew in an institution that had no history, had no background. They had no idea what this place was, in literally the cornfields of Aurora. Our board member, Sheila Griffin, she said, "I recall that day when the first students arrived. I was standing inside the building amidst all of the confusion that characterized that first day when all of these students were moving into their temporary living quarters. As you know, students, there were no resident halls. So I don't know what your parents were leaving you, where they were thinking they were leaving you. One of the students approached me, Sheila said, and said, This is the first time I have ever felt like I really belong. I knew at that moment that all of the hours and work we had devoted to the school were worth it." Our first convocation speaker, Dr. Leon Letterman, presented the class of 1989 with a challenge to question, to explore, and to dream. Dr. Letterman stated, "Now you may be surprised, and sophomores, you may be surprised that the courses you take here in the next 3 years, although rich in science and math, will include good, hard courses in English, Latin, art, history, literature." Except for Latin, that is still true. Why waste your time on these, you may ask? The answer is pretty simple. Scientists must live and function in a complex world. They must be able to describe their results clearly and concisely. Their recognition and their funding depend on it. Dr. Letterman concluded his remarks by saying, "I now hasten to tell you that you are in for the time of your life. You will meet teachers and listen to distinguished visitors and speakers who will change your life. You will meet new friends who will be friends forever. I can see the 20th reunion of the IMSA class of 1989. Nobel laureates, brain surgeons, novelists, who knows, a billionaire, and a jailbird." A jailbird. In her remarks at convocation, Dr. Marshall challenged the class to live out the true meaning of being a pioneer, who embody a spirit of experimentation, risk-taking, and innovation, and an attitude of diligence, responsibility, hard work, and service. A charter staff member recalled that first convocation with these words. He said, or she said, "That very first evening when Dr. Leon Letterman spoke to the IMSA charter class, I remember feeling that everything seemed so surreal. At the beginning of the convocation, all the teachers processed in the auditorium. There we all were, all of us dressed in our appropriate academic gown. I was struck by the thought, is this for real? Here we were pretending that there's really going to be a school here. I considered the questions about whether or not we were really going to pull it off. All of these kids so far from home. You have to understand that there was only funding for that first year. There were no funding for the next year. I felt like standing up at the end of the convocation and saying, There is no school here, guys. Let's all go home. Yet 10 years later, here we are, more successful than we could ever have imagined. 30 years later, here we are. While there have been minor revisions to the missions and values and commitment, the commitment and values and missions have remained pretty much the same, identical from those early years, which is typical of enduring values. My first point is this. A few people created IMSA. They envisioned the possibility that they could influence Illinois by creating a special school for special students. Their focus, tenacity, vision, relationships, risk-taking, and luck resulted in the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. Today, in 2016, the mission of IMSA, the world's leading and teaching and learning laboratory for the imagination and inquiry, is to ignite and nurture creative, ethical, scientific minds that advance the human condition through a system distinguished by profound questions, collaborative relationships, personalized experiential learning, global networking, generative use of technology, and pioneering outreach. Each of our almost 6,000 alumni have many stories to tell about their life at IMSA, and many of you will have or already have some stories. I'd like you to take some time now and reflect on a word that would help describe your experience so far. Now, you could have been here years and years, or just weeks, or even a few days. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to actually think of one word that would describe your experience so far, and I'm going to ask you to share that with the person on your right or your left. So I'm going to call time after 60 seconds. 60 seconds can be a very long time, so don't start talking until I call time. You may begin to think. 60 seconds is a really long time. We're only halfway there. No, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. You may share in 60 seconds, I'm going to time us again, what your word was and why you chose that word with your person on the left or the right. If you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. Thank you very much. That was very good. So I actually asked our alumni to share what their one word would be. I won't be able to explain the reason for their word, and thanks to Emma Donatelli, our alumni coordinator, and IMSA Fund, our office, for getting those words for me. But I'm going to read them really quickly, beginning with 1989 through 2016, and see if you can hear your word if it was represented in these words. We just selected, we had to make a decision, so we selected these. Ready? Ready? Okay, here we go. community, opportunity, challenging, family, uplift, inspiring, zest, illuminating, liberating, growth, transformative, enlightening, crucible, challenging, resolute, life-changing, horizon broadening, uniting, transformative, change, unforgettable, incredible, humbling, kith, igniting, advancing, eye-opening, triumph. Did you hear your word? Anybody hear your word there? So I'd like to share with you, we're actually going to create a Wordle with that and make a t-shirt. How many of you would like to buy one of those t-shirts? We won't sell it, but I think we are going to create a Wordle for that. So the word that I thought of to describe my last 2 years as president of the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy is possibilities. Possibilities. Why possibilities? Because it is based on the philosophy, IMSA's philosophy, which is Dr. Leon Letterman's entitled Enrolling in Our Possibilities. If we do what we know and feel is right, it is bound to happen that among our graduates, there will be numbered scientists, engineers, and those who go on to earn degrees in laws and letters. There are likely to be those few who create new intellectual worlds, cure a dreaded human ailment, or in some other way significantly influence life on our planet. Our philosophy will be to treat each of our charges as if each is capable of this great achievement. Only one such product will be worth the effort and expense of this entire school for its entire duration. I messed that up at the end, but for its entire duration. So that's why I think of possibilities. Possibilities for you, our students, for us as faculty and staff, for Illinois and for the world. My second point is that we are IMSA's legacy and have the awesome privilege and responsibility of building our next 30 years on this great foundation. Just like our founders, we must treat our charges as if each one is capable of this great achievement. As we move forward into our next 30 years, consider the possibilities. What is possible for when a community of learners becomes a pioneering community that aspires to be a learning laboratory committed to igniting and nurturing creative, ethical, scientific minds that advance the human condition. Rooted in our philosophy, in our past, IMSA has always been about solving the world's problems, grand challenges, even if we didn't use those words. In her dissertation published in 1990, Connie Hatcher, a charter staff at IMSA, stated that the Academy had two primary purposes. One, to provide an educational, social, and emotional climate in which students with exceptional aptitude in mathematics and science can develop their intelligence, gifts, and become committed to, here it is, the search for humane solutions to our world's problems. Sounds like the grand challenges to me. And number two, to serve as a laboratory for the development, testing, dissemination of innovative techniques in mathematics, science, and the humanities, which can become a resource for secondary school teachers in Illinois and in the nation. In our 30th year, let's rededicate ourselves to our founding principles and seek new and innovative ways to embody them. In 1997, before our students had been born, Apple launched an ad campaign which they entitled with the tagline, "Think Different." IMSA seeks to teach our students to think differently, divergently, and in multidisciplinary ways. We teach students to think different. You are all bright, curious, excited, and hopefully risk takers that have great potential. IMSA is here to challenge you to think critically and about your world and develop creative, sustainable solutions for our world's problems. It's not enough, though, to think different. We have to act and do different. 30 years have shown that our alum really do think and act differently. And Wencia, our keynote speaker, I hope that she'll be able to share how she is thinking and doing differently in her position with her latest initiative. My final point is this: striving to find humane conditions to our world's problem is in our DNA. We have the possibility of seeking to solve a grand challenge, create new intellectual worlds, cure a dreaded human ailment, or in some other way significantly influence life on our planet. The IMSA Board of Trustees endorsed a vision for IMSA that by 2022 we would be a global leader and catalyst in equity and excellence in STEM teaching and learning, innovation, and entrepreneurship. In summary, what does being a global leader, advancing the human condition, grand challenges look like? What will it look like in the next 10 years and in the next 30 years? I don't know, but I know it's a challenge worth tackling. It will define us for the next 30 years. While we don't know the specifics of how we're going to integrate global grand challenges ideas into our curriculum and outreach, we are designing the environments and the conditions to support IMSA's next decade and beyond. For grand challenges, how can we advance the human condition through addressing the grand challenges on campus? Well, let me give you one. There are many ways, but let me give you one example. Dr. Kozadi's students worked on an electromechanical device over the summer that aims to provide access to low-cost power to those without access to the electric grid. That happened this summer. According to the World Bank, there are approximately 1.1 billion people with access to electricity in the world. Now, let me say a few words about our new spaces before I close. I can't wait for you to experience these new spaces. Our science labs are more than a facelift. They're a focused effort on teaching collaboration, real science, real research, and they will be open today for classes. That deserves a hand. You will see them. Into the Stephen Jamie Chen Center for Innovation and Inquiry will open right after Labor Day. Today we are announcing 2 launchpads, which are spaces, permanent spaces in the INTO environment for students to work and for others to incubate startups and to do some work there. The INTO EdTech Launchpad, sponsored by Robert M. Chang, class of 1989, is a startup space that aims to accelerate technology and product development by serving as an incubator and testbed for EdTech startups. This year, the EdTech Launchpad selected is, I'm not going to tell you, because Dr. Dale gets the honor of announcing who in this auditorium, this gym, is going to be working there on this particular launchpad. The second launchpad, the Into Impact community venture, presented by Sam Yegan and Jessica Drosty-Yegan, both class of 1995, is an incubator space for promising community projects for early social entrepreneurship. And again, Dr. Dale in a few minutes will announce who in this audience will be working on that. The Into space and the launchpads are a result of 30 years of work and experimentation and innovation. And get this is something that you will only find at IMSA. There is no other place in the state that is K-12 that has that kind of space, Into and launchpads. Let me end with a final charge to the students, faculty, and staff, and everyone in the room. Students, how will you leave your mark on the academy? Could you help us think through the grand challenges from your perspective? Could you create or lead an activity that uses the new science space and the Into space in innovative ways? Faculty and staff, what bold idea will you try and possibly fail at? At the end of the year, we want to celebrate accomplishments, but we also want to celebrate spectacular failures. If we don't fail, we haven't tried hard enough. So who will we celebrate as our biggest risk taker? And all, what would happen if we took seriously the idea of solving a grand challenge? What if we committed ourselves to reach 1 billion people in the next 10 years through one of our grand challenges? Wouldn't all of us experience what Sheila Griffin experienced that first day, moving day, when she said, "I knew at that moment that all of the hours and work we had devoted were worth it." Thank you. And now Dr. Dale, our principal, will share some remarks.
Thank you, Jose. Good morning. I'd like to add my welcome to everyone in attendance today. To the class of 2019, welcome to the home of the Titans. We are thrilled to have you join us, as we are the new faculty and staff. And to returning classes 18 and 17 and the returning faculty and staff, great to have you back after what I hope was a great summer. And distinguished guests and visitors, welcome. As you can see, facilities have been very busy over the summer working on the building. I think you all would agree it looks fantastic, so thank you very much. My remarks, that's right, thank you. They did a great job, they really did. My remarks today are inspired by the play Hamilton, the Revolution by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jeremy McCarter. Many of you have read this play over the summer, and the rest, like me, are hoping at some time this decade to actually see it. The play chronicles the life of Alexander Hamilton, particularly as it relates to the founding of the country. There are many great moments in this play, and yes, you, the sophomore class, will have ample opportunity to discuss them. Today, I want to focus our attention on a song near the end of Act 1. In this song, entitled Dear Theodosia, both Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton make promises to their young daughter and son, respectively. Hamilton says, "I'll do what it takes." Burr, "I'll make 1,000,000 mistakes." Burr and Hamilton together, "I'll make the world safe and sound for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll pass it on to you. We'll give the world to you, and you will blow us all away. Someday, yeah, you'll blow us all away someday." This quote sums up, in my opinion, the roles of our community. Hamilton and Burr represent the faculty and the staff. As a community, we do what it takes to keep you safe and sound. We will do more than that. We lay a solid foundation for you, which we pass on. How do we do this? First, we bring together a community of folks who themselves have a solid foundation in their chosen area of expertise. All of the faculty at IMSA have at least a master's degree, and about half have PhD degrees in their chosen area. This enables us to engage you in a constructivist educational process. Classes are focused on inquiry and exploration. We do not tell you the answer. Instead, we carefully pose questions so that you construct it. We provide opportunities to take the learning in new directions. The Student Inquiry and Research Program is designed to provide you with the skills to ask a question where the answer is unknown and to answer it. Yes, you can and will create new knowledge. Lead and consideration in ethics provide opportunities to develop the next generation of ethical leaders. Today, as was mentioned earlier, we open the first phase of this science lab renovations. These labs are exciting, not just because they're new, but because they are designed just like the professional spaces that scientists and researchers and innovators work in today. They will help foster collaboration and enable real-world learning. Along with another new space, Into, these spaces model excellence for Illinois and U.S. education. Speaking of Into, I've kept you waiting long enough to learn who will be in the 2 launch pads this year. You ready? The Into EdTech Launchpad has selected the IMSA Drop Dot team. Drop Dot is the early childhood learning app developed by IMSA alumna Sumner Wu from the class of 13, while she was an intern at Steve Chen's startup, AWAS. Drop Dot has been gifted to IMSA talent for students to finish development and market. The 2016-17 Drop Dot team is Felicia Chen, Vedya Suryanarayanan, I'm sorry about that, Grace Yang, and Megha Ramanan, with faculty leader Namrata Pandya. Addison Herr, a member of the class of 17, has been selected to lead 2 virtual reality teams in Into's Impact Launchpad's inaugural year. Both of these will be focused on educational technology. One team will continue Addison's SIR work of designing IMSA's campus in virtual reality. The other team has created new educational applications of Vive, a platform for immersive and interactive virtual reality. Additionally, Addison has just been awarded the IMSA Scott Swanson Fund for Transformative Student Learning and Innovation Grant to fund the team's high-speed computer and HTC Vive for the project. Congratulations to all, and we look forward to seeing these projects unfold. With this solid foundation that IMSA provides, I promise you, IMSA Titans, you will blow us all away. Each of you, in your own way, will take what you learn here during your 3 years and do amazing things. You will make mistakes, as Burr suggests, which is how you learn and grow. Remember, you are part of a proud legacy. Some Titans have impacted the world by creating items which permeate society, like Netscape and OkCupid. Others have influenced their local community and the nation by being part of the community of educators, as our guest speaker today. And all have had an impact on those who have known them. As I look out at you today, the IMSA Titans, I am filled with excitement and anticipation of how you will blow all of us away. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Emily Carrasas for a cello. She is from a cello selection. She is from the class of 13. And the details of her biography are in your program, so I won't read those to you today, as is the selection. After Emily has finished, we will have our keynote address by Yuensia Deng from the class of 2000. She is currently serving as a senior policy advisor to the Undersecretary of Education at the U.S. Department of Education, and her biography is also in the program. Emily.
Wow, it's amazing to see you all here today. Good morning, IMSA. All right, so you guys can see me a lot better than I can see you, so I want to hear you. Seniors, let's show them how it's done. Juniors, can I hear you? And sophomores, make yourselves known. Awesome, you guys are amazing. So, let's start with the sophomores. Welcome. You are embarking on a grand 3-year adventure that is going to be beyond anything you can imagine. I was in your shoes about 20 years ago, before most of you were born, or all of you were born, and yet I still remember it really clearly. I remember meeting my sophomore year roommate for the first time. And like many of you, I really prided myself back then on being kind of a nerd, a little bit of a geek, and I was so excited to be at IMSA because it felt like a place where I could be unapologetically proud of that. So imagine me meeting my roommate for the first time, and she could not stop talking about cheerleading. Well, turns out my cheerleader roommate turned out to be a really great friend, and I'm so proud to know her now that she's an oncologist. So she's a doctor working with cancer patients and trying to find a cure. To the juniors and the seniors in the room, welcome back, or I guess I should say, welcome home. I hope that to some of you, this place is already starting to feel like home. I know that this place, to me, this strange kind of bomb shelter bunker thing in the middle of nowhere, will always be a little bit of home. And I'm so honored that President Torres and Principal DeLay have asked me to come and talk to you all today. As I thought about what I wanted to tell you, what I wish I had known when I was in your shoes, I really came up with 3 things, and I hope that they help you during your time at IMSA and hopefully beyond. The first is to use this precious time, use this opportunity to figure out who you are. Because this is it. You've got these 3 precious years to do that. You know, people say that college is a great place to figure out who you are, But the truth is, once you're in college, you're thinking about your future, you're thinking about what major you should be doing, what internships you should be doing, how to land your first job, and how to set up your whole career. Figuring out who you are in the midst of all of that can be kind of tough. So you've already left home, and you get a head start. So why not get started now? When I was here, I had the opportunity to take a lot of risks. I felt free for the first time to take lots of risks and learn new things. I decided that I always cared more about pragmatism than ideology. I learned how to rely on my friends and ask for help. I learned how to forgive people and accept an apology for the first time. I learned how to challenge myself over and over and over again, and I learned exactly how little sleep I needed to function. I'm not saying that's a good thing, I'm just saying what I learned. So figure those things out about yourself. Who are you? What do you believe in? Why do you believe in it? What are the things that you value most? What motivates you? What do you love and why do you love it? When you're faced with really tough decisions, how do you go about making those choices? What are the things that you like thinking about and why? Because this is your opportunity to think about them. Probably my favorite memory of IMSA was staying up way, way too late with two of my best friends because we were really consumed by this notion that there was a theme running through a bunch of our classes, through biology, through calculus, through our history and philosophy classes. And it was the notion of what is the role of randomness in the universe. And we stayed up very late, basically creating a whole system of thinking around that. And it wasn't for a grade, it had nothing to do with classes, no one asked us to do that. But we were really interested in developing a way of thinking that we would take with us for the rest of our lives. So talk to each other. Indulge your interests. Talk to your teachers. They're amazing resources, and they will be probably for the rest of your lives. Use this time to get to know yourself, to put a stake in the ground about who you are and what you're all about. Because I promise there will never be a more supportive environment or a better time in your life for you to do that. So second, I want to draw a distinction that might not seem important right now, but will hopefully become more and more important as you all grow. And that's that achievements are not the same thing as accomplishments. You have already achieved a lot. Just being in this room is a huge achievement because it means that you must have gotten good grades. It means that you probably did pretty well on your SATs. It means that you have impressed your teachers. It means that your parents think that you're responsible enough to be on your own, or at least that you've done a really good job fooling them. So congratulations. Achievements are gold stars that you get from other people, signals to the world about how great you are. And you clearly already have a few gold stars. So let me tell you a little bit of a story about the dangers of achievement. When I was a freshman in college, in one of my very first classes, one of my professors asked the class, "Who here wants to work for Goldman Sachs?" And hundreds of people in this lecture hall raised their hands. And I looked around and I realized I didn't know what a Goldman Sachs was. But suddenly, I really wanted to work there too. And it turns out it's a top investment bank. It offers only a few internships a year. And 3 years later, in my senior year of college, I beat out about 1,000 other candidates to get that internship. And guess what? I hated it. And I was really lucky, frankly, to find that out early, because then I chose to do something else after college. And so a few years later, when the financial markets didn't do so well and a lot of those people lost their jobs, I wasn't one of them. But I did spend a few miserable months in college doing a job I really didn't like, because other people thought it was a gold star, and I bought into it. Gold stars come from other people, which means that they can also be taken away. Getting to say you went to IMSA is a gold star. Going to a top college is a gold star. Getting to come back to your high school after 20 years to tell 600 students that you beat 1,000 people out of an internship is a little bit of a gold star. There is no shame in being proud of your gold stars. There really isn't. You should be proud of them. But you should also remember that the pride you feel is just because of the way that others perceive you. External recognition and validation from people who have known you for a short time in a specific context is important in that exact same way, for a short time and in a specific context. You all can be so much more than the accumulation of a bunch of gold stars from other people. You can actually accomplish things. Now I'm going to tell you another story about my first real accomplishment, the first time I realized the difference. I was a few years out of college. I was working for a nonprofit organization called Teach for America that focuses on helping poor students get access to a great education. And I spent a year building a teacher training institute where the teachers worked with students in poor neighborhoods over the summer in Phoenix, Arizona. It was hot. It was very hard work. But after the summer, once school began again, the schools that we worked with showed us that their students were so much farther ahead than where they were expected to be. The schools actually had to change their curriculum because of the amount that our students learned over the summer at our institute. That was an accomplishment. And I still remember clearly getting that data and talking to the school about what they were doing to their curriculum and looking at the data about the students. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because it was the first time in my life that I realized that I had done something truly good in the world. That what I did made a difference in someone else's life. That's an accomplishment. An accomplishment is the good that you do in the world for others that cannot be undone. 3,000 kids spent that summer learning when they otherwise wouldn't have. And even though they lived in tough neighborhoods and their schools were not always great, they were further ahead than they would have been if we hadn't done the work that we did. That's a good that can't be undone. That's an accomplishment. And you all have what it takes to do that kind of good, to actually accomplish things, to have a positive impact on the world around you and on others. So, as was mentioned, I now work in the federal government, and President Obama every year speaks to the class of White House interns. And one of the things that he says is, worry less about what you want to be and more about what you want to do. That's another way of saying this, that achievements are not accomplishments. Don't just be proud of yourself for the places you've gotten into, or the brands you associate yourself with, or even the jobs that you land. Be proud of yourself because you've actually done something good in this world. Because if you're in this room, then you have the smarts to do a lot of good in this world. And the world really, really needs you to do that. But I recognize that you all are in your teens, and you might not know exactly what you want to do. So show of hands, how many of you know exactly what you want to do when you grow up? Okay, that's actually more than I thought. You all are very lucky, for those of you who raised your hands, because I definitely did not know what I wanted to do when I was your age. And hey, you might change your minds. But to those of you who raise your hands, my challenge to you is this. Figure out exactly what problem you're trying to solve. Because when things get tough, when things don't go your way, when you run into obstacles, knowing what problem you try to solve should be your North Star. And for those of you who didn't raise your hands, which would have been me, don't worry, because this is not a test. You don't have to know what you want to do. There is no wrong answer. Which brings me to the third and the final point that I want to say to you, which is that if you don't know what you want to do, just find a problem. There are so many problems in the world. Climate change, pollution, disease, poverty, terrorism. You can probably all think of a lot more, but there are a lot of problems in this world. And as you get older and see more and more of the world, I actually hope you keep looking for those problems. Because if you don't know what you want to do, and even if you do, pick a problem, find the problem you want to solve, and solve it. These are some really big problems. And with all the potential in this room, if we're not the ones that are going to step forward and tackle these things, then who's going to? Who will? Seniors, I know it seems like college applications matter a lot right now, or that they will. Juniors, I know that PSATs and grades matter a lot right now. And sophomores, I imagine that figuring out how to do your own laundry matters at least a little bit. But the most important thing that I want to tell you today is to make sure that you matter. Make sure that you do something that matters. Because if not, all your intelligence, all your hard work, all the gold stars you accumulate will go to waste. When you look back on your life, make sure that there was someone in it, someone in the world who is better off for you having lived. In the meantime, try to relish in learning how to solve problems. Solve the problems that are put before you, solve the problems that you can find, and find new problems to solve. Soak it all in. And when you're ready, remember the problem that bothers you the most, the thing that nags at you every time you're reminded of it, the thing that you can't help but think about, even if and specifically because it's unpleasant, but it's also real. And then remember that you have among the best training in the world in how to solve problems. That's what you're getting here at IMSA. There are so many problems in the world. You are here developing the skills and the knowledge to actually do something about them. So pick one and go at it. I can't wait to see what you all do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncia, for your remarks, and Emily for your cello piece. They were both lovely. I now have the honor to conclude this 30th IMSA Convocation. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from Simone Biles, the Olympic gold medalist, gymnast. Simone advises all of us to do the following. I quote, "Surround yourself with the dreamers, the doers, the believers, and thinkers. But most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it yourself." Welcome to the 2016-17 academic year at the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. Thank you.